Hello, dear students of secondary biology. Today we have a general review about what we studied before in chapter 2, as we have to know some questions or some answers about what we studied in the circulation in human. Especially we talk about the types of blood circulation in human. At the same time, we have to know the blood components as blood platelets, plasma, and white blood cells, as we have red blood cells, white blood cells, plasma, and platelets. At the same time, we have to know how can we deal with questions about or belongs to the lymphatic system and the function of this system beside the function of the circulatory or the circulation in human. Let's go to start our episode today with the first type of questions, as we have to explain the reason in this question. Here we have how in this figure, as we see, we have contracted muscle and we have arrows with direction from downward to upward. How the rate of muscles contraction affect the rate of heartbeats. As we see, زي ما احنا شايفين, we have arrows in the lower side of the vessel. At the same time, we can see here valve in this vessel and the direction of blood upward. So we talk about vein or artery, we talk about vein. In this case, we have to know how the rate of muscles contraction affect the rate of heartbeats. If we talk about heart or muscles contraction, الحركة أو الانقباض في العضلة, affect the heartbeats اللي هو معدل ضربات القلب. يبقى here we have to know, we know the exercise or activity make heart beats increase. يعني بيزود معدل نبضات أو ضربات القلب. So here in this question, how can we answer how the rate of muscles contraction affect the rate of heartbeats? We can say here, as you see, number one, by increasing the muscles contractions, the number of heartbeats increases. How come? We should explain the first phrase in this answer. لازم أشرح كمان اللي أنا جاوبته. لأن the answer, by increasing the muscles contractions, the number of heartbeats increases. ليه بقى? We know from this lesson the sinoatrial node as a pacemaker of the heart, as we see. Sinoatrial node connected, or the nerve connected with the sinoatrial node, increasing the what? The heartbeat during activities. As we studied before, dear students, زي ما خدنا قبل كده. هنا مع بعض. We have blood inside the heart. We have heartbeats. Okay? Contraction, relaxation, up and up. طيب. We have sinoatrial node buried in the right side of the heart, right atrium. This sinoatrial node send nerve impulses, تبعت نبضة عصبية, to the atrioventrical node. Atrioventrical node connected with the two nerves, متوصل بعصبين. One increase the heartbeats, بيزود معدل ضربات القلب. One decreases the heartbeats, بيقلل معدل ضربات القلب. طيب. Both are connected with the muscles of the what? Of the lower ventricles of the heart. So by his fibers. So by increasing the activity, the nerve increase the contraction of the two lower ventricles. هيبتدي الانقباض يزيد, the heartbeat will increase. نكمل مع بعض the next question as we see here. شوف مع بعض. As we see here, we have 1, 2, and 3. 1, the direction of arrow, زي ما لازم نركز في direction of the arrows here, from up to down, and 3 from down to the upper direction or the upper side. And among them we have another vessels. So from 1, according to the direction of the arrows, is artery, and number 3 is vein. And we know the end of arteries and the beginning of veins we have blood capillaries. So this question talking about what? بيسألني على ايه بقى؟ الكويستشن بيقول لي at this blood vessels what is the modification of number 2? Modification of number 2 here we talk about number 2. طب number 2 ده ايه؟ we have artery according to the direction of blood الدم نازل يبقى ده artery اللي هم بيسموه شريان and here we have vein and among them we have blood capillaries اللي هي الشعيرات الدموية. So here number 2 is blood capillaries. So we talk about the modification of number 2. Modification, we should explain the properties of the blood capillaries. شكلها عامل ازاي and how this structure facilitate its function. ازاي بيسهل وظيفتها. We know the blood capillaries consist of only one layer. This layer is very thin, contains tiny pores, and these blood capillaries spread among the tissues and cells, micro vessels, microscopic vessels ما بنشوفهاش بعينينا اللي هي البلاد كابيلاريز او الشعيرات الدمويه. So the wall is very thin. Why? To facilitate the material exchange. طبعا اكيد هو come from the arteries, carry oxygen, carry nutrients, and at the same time will get هياخد بقى ايه carbon dioxide and wastes. So the modification according to the property of the thickness of the wall of the blood capillary. So the answer here is what? نشوفها مع بعض. According to the arrows, blood vessel number 1 قلنا is artery and blood vessel number 3 is vein according to the arrows direction على حسب اتجاه الأسهم. So here blood vessel number 2 is blood capillaries. So blood capillaries its modification is what? نشوف بقى. Modification of blood vessels number 2 is microscopic vessels to spread among cells منتشرة. Thin wall to facilitate materials exchange between it and cells inside the tissue. طبعا ده هنا we explain the modification of number 2 as blood capillaries. Next question about the same diagram. We have 1, 2, and 3. The same arteries, veins, among them or between them we have blood capillaries. So the question is, which one from these vessels contains large amount of oxygen? في كمية كبيرة من الأكسجين. هيبقى الارتري or vein or blood capillaries. طبعا we know arteries, all arteries carry oxygenated blood except ما ننساش كلمة except pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood and all veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein carry oxygenated blood. فهو بيقول لي which one from these vessels contain large amount of oxygen. هقول له طبعا number كام؟ Yes, the answer is according to the arrows blood vessel number 1 is artery. So large amount of oxygen in number 1. Next question here about the same diagram نفس الشكل اللي قدامنا 1, 2 and 3 but we have another question. Here we have which one from these vessels contains valves? Contains what? Valves. طبعا هنا we should know, dear students, the difference between arteries and veins. All arteries have no valves except لازم اقول except طبعا we have what? We have aorta and we have pulmonary artery. Both have semilunar valve. But all veins have valves عندها صمامات. طبعا we know to prevent the blood what? Returning back in the opposite direction. عشان الدم ما يرجعش في الاتجاه العكسي. فلما يجي يقول لي which one has valve 1 or 2 or 3 طبعا according to the arrow's direction we know number 3 is vein. So الفينز اللي هي بيسموها الأوردة contains valves أو اللي فيها الصمامات. يبقى نبص مع بعض. The answer is in this question. هقول له according to the arrows blood vessels number 3 is vein. So all veins contains valves. طبعا we know from the student's book. Okay. Function of extended أو existed valves depends on one type of vessels connected with the heart. خلي بالنا من السؤال ده. بيقول لي ايه؟ function of existed valves. الوظيفة بتاعت الفالفز اللي موجودة بتعتمد depends on one type of vessels connected with the heart. لو انا جيت اتكلم هنا about هل الهارت connect with one type of vessels، القلب متوصل بنوع واحد من الفيزلز؟ لا طبعا. البلاد connect with arteries and connect with veins at the same time. في arteries اللي هي الشرايين وفي الفينز اللي هي الاورده، الاثنين متوصلين. فهو هنا بيقول لي في السؤال هل الفانكشن اوف existed vessels او valves، خلي بالك بيقول ايه؟ valves. طب valves احنا عارفين الفينز contains valves all والارتريز except no has no valves except. طب نشوف بقى مع بعض هنعمل ايه. بيقول لي function of existed valves depends on one type of vessels connected with the heart، متوصله بالهارت. يبقى هقول له يا ترى ده صح ولا غلط؟ هو بيقول لي بقى هنا في السؤال بيقول لي ايه؟ بيقول لي this phrase is right or wrong explain. يعني هقول له صح ولا غلط واشرح كمان يا ترى صح او غلط. طبعا نمبر 1 this phrase is completely wrong. غلط. ليه؟ because by black font هنا by black color بيقول لي one type in question. لا 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 لا. الفالفز not only one type، دي نمبر 1. والفيزلز not only one type. هقول له ليه بقى؟ تعالوا مع بعض. اقول له aorta and pulmonary arteries contains valves، واحنا عارفين semi-lunar valves. And at the same time we have all veins as vena cava contains valves. يبقى هنا خلي بالي ان هو بيسألني وقال لي في وسط السؤال كده one type of vessels. لا هما مش one type، مش one type of vessels. عشان كده بنقول نخلي بالنا في each statement or each word in the question، لانه بيبقى في كلمة في النص كده change completely the meaning of the phrase، هتغير بالكل معنى العبارة اللي قدامي. طيب next question is dear students، زي ما احنا شايفين كده في system we have x z and y. as we see بيقول لي if label x not exists. طيب label x ده مين؟ طبعا firstly we should know this diagram represents the lymphatic system اللي هم بيسموه الليمفاوي. the lymphatic system we have x we have z and we have y. firstly x هتبقى ايه؟ طبعا x is the lymphatic nodes. صح؟ lymphatic system consists of lymphatic capillaries or vessels and at the same time lymphatic nodes. So number z, our label z is label x is node. So the function of node is what؟ هنعرف مع بعض. تعالوا نشوف مع بعض. بيقول لي the rate of blood stream increases. number 2 the erythrocytes increases in blood. or number C is the microbes can pass freely in the blood. ولا D which means or the statement is the number of lymphatic capillaries decreases. طبعا هنا احنا عارفين ان number Z is the lymphatic nodes and the lymphatic nodes contains what؟ او احنا قلنا ان هي lymphatic nodes صح؟ okay. the function of lymphatic node contains a large number of what؟ of white blood cells and antibodies الأجسام المضادة. يبقى attack what or engulf what؟ بتبلع ايه؟ the microbes or the foreign bodies. So the answer if label X not exist microbes can pass freely in the body. اكيد الميكروبس هتعيش براحتها خالص، لان from the functions of the lymphatic nodes it contains large amount of white blood cells. خلي بالنا نمبر بي بيقول لي erythrocytes، والerythrocytes اللي هي red blood cells، كرات الدم الحمراء. طبعا ملهاش علاقه بالموضوع هنا خالص. in the lymphatic system. Next question is organ Y. طبعا we know organ Y is what? From the lymphatic system وعندنا lymphatic node, lymphatic vessels or capillaries and lymph. Beside these components we have lymphatic organs. lymphatic organs هناخدها في third secondary، هناخدوها في ثالثه ثانوي. From these organs in this syllabus في منهجنا بقى احنا Y is what? is spleen اللي هو الطحال. يبقى هنا لما يجي يقول لي organ Y هيبقى producing the blood platelets، بيطلع الصفائح الدمويه blood platelets، ولا producing the erythrocytes red blood cells. number C producing the leukocytes اللي هي white blood cells. number D is A and B. طبعا we know the spleen is the most important organ in the lymphatic system because it producing the leukocytes or white blood cells. We know the spleen producing the leukocytes or white blood cells. Next question is what is the similarity between the roots hair and the blood capillary. ايه التشابه ما بين اللي هي الروتس هير اللي هي موجوده في البلانت and blood capillary اللي هي الشعرات الدمويه موجوده في الهيومن. ايه السيميلاريتي between them هتبقى ايه بقى؟ طبعا we know lesson 1 nutrition in plants depends on absorption and at the same time depends on the photosynthesis process. Absorption from roots hair. صح. طيب roots hair the modification or the properties of roots hair اللي هي الشعرات الجذرية very thin. Why? To facilitate absorption of water and the minerals from the soil. طبعا by osmosis, by diffusion, by active transport اللي هي الميكانيزم دي another point. انا مش دعوه بالميكانيزم، انا بتكلم على similarity between the root hairs and the blood capillaries. طبعا the similarity is one. Blood capillaries have thin wall to facilitate exchange of materials and at the same time the root hair has thin wall to facilitate absorption of materials as salts, as minerals from and water from the soil. So the answer here as we see هنشوفها مع بعض similarity both of them have thin walls to facilitate the passage of materials through them عشان تسهل مرور materials through them. Okay. Next question. Blood contains large amount of water. الدم فيه كمية كبيرة من المية. هو بقى بيقول لي ايه هنا في الكويستشن؟ بيقول لي this phrase is right or wrong or this statement is right or wrong and explain. بيقول لي يعني الكلام ده صح ولا غلط واشرحه. طبعا we know the blood components. blood مكونات الدم 54% plasma 54% plasma and 40 كام؟ فانا دي 54 يبقى 46 is the rest blood components اللي هم red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets اللي هي الصفائح الدمويه. طيب واحد يقول لي طب اوكي 45% is plasma. البلازما نفسها contains 90% of water. البلازما نفسها 90% منها ميه. And the 10% is what? Is organic or inorganic salts with another elements. يبقى لما يجي يقول لي blood أو the blood contains large amount of water this statement is right. يبقى مبدئيا صح. وبعدين يقول لي explain بقى. أقول له why? Because blood contains نشوفها مع بعض. بيقول لي Number 1 right. يبقى الستيتمنت دي right. Number 2 blood contains 54% of plasma and at the same time plasma contains 90% of water plus 10% of what? Of organic and inorganic materials. So the phrase or this statement is completely right. هتبقى صحيحة بالكامل. Next question is, what happens if the ratio of hemoglobin in blood decreases less than normal limit؟ لو نسبة الهيموجلوبين قلت أقل من النورمال ليميت. طيب احنا عارفين ان الهيموجلوبين exist in the red blood cells and hemoglobin as we studied before in first secondary عبارة عن amino acid or amino acid with iron مع حديد. And the main function of hemoglobin in the red blood cells to combine with oxygen, carry oxygen, and at the same time to combine with carbon dioxide to expel it outside the body عشان يخرجوا by طبعا the two lungs in the respiratory system. Not in this chapter, the next one. Okay? طيب لما يجي يقول لي بقى what happens if the rate or the amount of hemoglobin لو نسبة الهيموجلوبين قلت، لو the ratio of the rate of hemoglobin decrease in blood يبقى the ratio of oxygen in blood will decrease. نسبة الأكسجين هتقل. يبقى in this case the human will suffer from هيعاني من إيه؟ هيعاني from anemia اللي هم بيسموه فقر الدم. because hemoglobin بتعمل إيه؟ carry oxygen، بتعمل oxy hemoglobin or carry carbon dioxide كاربو امينو هيموجلوبين. يبقى الهيموجلوبين هنا decrease, the ratio of oxygen decrease, so the man or the human will suffer from anemia. يبقى الانسر بتاعتي هتبقى هنا اهوت. بيقول لي what happened، نشوفها مع بعض. طبعا hemoglobin carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. At the same time oxyhemoglobin and carboaminohemoglobin, both oxygen and carbon dioxide. So here in number 3 as we see, when hemoglobin in blood decreases, human will what? Suffer from anemia by decreasing the what? The transportation of oxygen from lungs or carbon dioxide to the lungs. طبعا نسبة الكربون دايوكسيد اللي بتخرج هتبقى ضعيفة طبعا. So the human suffering from weakness from any activity. حس بالتعب من أقل مجهود. Next question is, pick the odd word then find the relation among the rest. ناخد العبارة ملاش يعني علاقة بموضوع وناخد find the relation نجد العلاقة ما بين among the rest words. لو بصينا كده مع بعض هلاقي oxygen, hemoglobin, carboaminohemoglobin and oxyhemoglobin. طيب بيقول لي pick the odd word. ايه اللي ملوش علاقة بالموضوع؟ طبعا we know oxygen combine with hemoglobin in red blood cells forming oxyhemoglobin. صح؟ يبقى the odd word is what? Is carboaminohemoglobin, which means carbon dioxide combined with hemoglobin. So we know oxygen plus hemoglobin producing oxyhemoglobin. So the pick word is carboaminohemoglobin. Okay. Next question is, the role of prothrombin differ than fibrinogen on bleeding. The role of prothrombin differ than fibrinogen on bleeding. طبعا we know the blood clotting or coagulation تجلط الدم to stop the bleeding عشان يوقف النزيف. مبدئيا by destroyed cells and factors of coagulation عوامل التجلط produce thromboplastin. احنا لازم نفتكر الكلام ده كويس. Thromboplastin will change the prothrombin secreted from liver. ما ننساش by change from prothrombin into thrombin by vitamin K and calcium ions. صح؟ Then prothrombin change into thrombin. Thrombin will change the fibrinogen soluble protein in blood into solid what fibrinogen يبقى fibrin solid insoluble فبيحصل blood clot او تجلط او stop bleeding تقوم واقفه النزيف على طول. فهو بيسالني the role of prothrombin differ than fibrinogen يبقى الايكويشن the equation of mechanism of the blood clotting تجلط الدم. اقول له تعالى نبص بقى مع بعض. اول واحده prothrombin by thromboplastin vitamin K and calcium change into thrombin. Then fibrinogen soluble protein in blood change by thrombin into fibrin as insoluble protein. So now the rule of prothrombin is what? Is change into thrombin by thromboplastin, while fibrinogen change into fibrin by what? By thrombin to form the clot اللي هي تجلط الدم. In this question, mention name of one substance can't reach the muscles blood capillaries. The muscles blood capillaries احنا شايفين الرسمه the blood capillaries هنا in the muscles by green color شايفينها. The left side is artery, the right side is vein, and we have blood clot يعني تجلط في الدم في الارتري في الشريان. فبيقول لي mention name of one substance can't reach the muscle blood capillaries مش هتقدر توصل للعضلات او للشعرات الدمويه الموجوده في العضلات. طبعا لما يحصل blood clot الارتريز كاري ايه؟ we know arteries carry oxygen صح from the heart and carries at the same time what? carries digested food يعني nutrients to the rest parts of the body. يبقى mention name of one substance ده الراجل بيقول لي one substance just only one. هقول له in this case we can write more than one. Arteries carry oxygen and nutrients and at the same time here we have oxygen and nutrients. طبعا oxygen can't مش هيوصل لمين؟ reach muscles due to the block of the او by clotting. يبقى we know arteries clotting طبعا هتبقى اخطر من الفين clotting تجلط الدم في الشرايين اخطر من الاورده لان الارتريز كاري الاكسجين والنيوترونز. الفينز كاري الويست والكربون دايوكسيد. ما بقولش على فكره ان الفينز مش خطيره التجلط فيها، خطير برضو بس اقل شويه من less damage or less effect than artery. اوكي. liver fibrosis patient suffering from hemophilia. مريض تليف الكبد suffering from hemophilia اللي هو سيولة الدم. طبعا in this question we talk about liver and we know the liver has a very important role in transportation as we talk about hepatic portal circulation, and at the same time the liver play an important role in the immunity. مناعة؟ why؟ احنا عارفين ان الليفر سكريت فيبرينوجين prothrombin, and the prothrombin complete the mechanism of clotting to produce fibrin which stop the bleeding. يبقى الكبد مهم for the blood clotting, stop bleeding, immunity. يبقى دي مناعة. نمبر 2 واحنا قلنا في السيركيليشن، فبيقول لي واحد عنده تليف كبد هيبقى عنده سيولة في الدم. اقول له سيولة يعني the blood clotting can't form by right way or by the normal way stop bleeding عشان توقف النزيف. يبقى مين السبستانس اللي هي help in the mechanism of the blood clotting؟ البروثرومبين from the liver. احنا عندنا مادتين بيطلعوا من الكبد من الليفر، prothrombin for blood clotting and at the same time in blood from the liver we have heparin. مادة الهيبارين anti coagulation، مادة مضادة للتجلط. الاثنين from the liver. يبقى الانسر بتاعتي لو نبص مع بعض هنا liver fibrosis patient suffering from hemophilia. اقول له explain، اقول له حاضر. prothrombin منين؟ ايوه secrete by liver. change into thrombin by thromboplastin, vitamin K, and calcium. Calcium ions. At the same time, we know fibrinogen, soluble protein, change by thrombin into fibrin, insoluble protein, so the bleeding will stop. النزيف هيبقى ايه؟ هيقف. فلما يحصل كده يبقى the ratio of prothrombin in blood will decrease. صح؟ يبقى the ratio of fibrosis liver secretes less prothrombin, so the rate of blood clotting decreases. يبقى الجرح مش هيقف النزيف بسهولة وتبقى مشكلة. Next question. Avoid overeat the fatty food, explain. طبعا we should decrease the lipids generally in food. ان انا اقلل الدهون في الاكل. Especially the derivative lipids اللي هي المشتقات اللي هي like cholesterol لانها contains cholesterol. طيب ايه المشكلة؟ The rate of lipids increases in blood vessels, so the lipids will accumulate, precipitate, هتبتدي تتراكم وتترسب in the arteries and veins. And we know the blood coagulation factors, one of them is friction and one of them is decreasing the speed. البلد المفروض يمشي في الفيزلز with normal speed. If the speed increase، لو سرعة الدم زادت أو قلت يحصل clot، تجلط على طول. يبقى هنا lipids, especially like cholesterol, طبعا we know fat, we know oil and something like that, but they will digest easily, not like cholesterol. الكوليسترول بيتهضم بصعوبة شوية، مش زي الاويل والفات. okay, will precipitate and accumulate on the vessels, so the friction takes place, and at the same time friction is from the blood clotting factors. نشوفها كده مع بعض. يبقى هقول له الانسر بتاعتي causing precipitation of fats as cholesterol on the wall of the vessels. Okay, so what these lipids act as rough surface، تبقى خشنة with what؟ with the blood, make friction with the blood stream, and this from the friction is one from the factors causing what? causing blood coagulation. Coagulation as agglutination as clotting. التلاتة معناهم تجلط للدم. طبعا هنا عندنا معلش سوري، انا هرجع بس هنا حته كده صغيره. في كويستشن هنا كنت عايز اقوله قبل ما نقول دي. في كويستشن كان جالي على اليوتيوب على الشانل بتاعتنا، يعني في ستودنت سأل بيقول لي relation between، انا افتكرته دلوقتي، relation between هو from circulation in او transportation in plant. خلي بالنا بيقول ايه relation between، احنا عارفين الفلويم والزايلم، فلويم اند زايلم. فلويم طبعا انا عارف ان احنا بنتكلم دلوقتي في البلانت مش في الهيومن. الفلويم اند زايلم، الفلويم carry blood from the heart from the leaves to the rest parts. carry what? carry nutrients، شايل المواد الغذائيه اللي هي produced او formed by photosynthesis process. صح؟ at the same time we have xylem. الزايلم transfer the water and the minerals from the roots to the rest part. لو جينا بصينا بقى مع بعض عشان السؤال ده مهم جدا، بيقول لي ايه؟ بيقول لي هل ايه relation between، احنا عارفين الزايلم عباره عن ايه؟ زايلم فيزل، تراكيد اند ايه؟ والفلويم عباره عن ايه؟ عندنا كومبانيون سيل وسيف تيوب وايه؟ بارينكايما. طيب واحد بيقول لي ايه البارينكايما، ايه ريليشن هنا في الزايلم والفلويم؟ البارينكايما is the as we studied before one from the simple plant tissue consists of only one type of cells. يبقى لما يجي يقول لي هقول له زايلم، عندي we have xylem parenchyma. xylem parenchyma exist in xylem, and at the same time we have parenchyma in phloem. the function او the main function attachment، يعني بتعمل attachment to the tissues together. هنلاقي الزايلم in the what? in the middle around xylem we have what? We have root, we have phloem. Each one of them has its own function in the transportation. ده سؤال كان مهم جدا وحبيت ان انا اجاوب عليه. طبعا next time ان شاء الله هتبقى questions about respiration. We have طبعا gas exchange and we have cellular respiration. ده اللي هنقوله المره الجايه as question review، لان في students برضو بعتوا او كتبوا لي على الشانل اليوتيوب قالوا لي we need more questions about this part as chapter 3 respiration especially طبعا respiration طبعا cellular respiration as the steps of this respiration. طيب لو جينا هنا مع بعض سؤال من البلانت كده بيقول لي many plant have stomata on the lower surface of their leaves. سؤال كده بسيط من البلانت يعني. If the leaves of iris plant float on the water surface, what do you expect طبعا their stomata are located. طبعا explain your answer. طبعا احنا عارفين stomata exist in the upper and the lower part of the plant. اوكي؟ طيب plant leaf طبعا. لو انا عندي iris plant اللي هو نبات مائي اسمه السوسن float on the water surface. Where do you expect in this case؟ طبعا هنا الاستوماتا exists on the upper surface to allow gas exchange. طبعا اكيد مش تبقى غطسانه ناحيه الووتر اللي بيبقى more upper more than lower especially in this case. Because if they exist in the lower surface no gases exchange. هيبقى difficult to make gas exchange. طبعا modification here ان البلانت هيعمل due to the presence طبعا of water الاكسجين scarcely dissolve in water. الاكسجين بيدوب بصعوبه شويه في الميه. طبعا بيقول لي what would happen. السؤال بقى اللي هو كنت برجع له عشان الكويستشنز اللي جات لي على الشانل بتاعتنا على اليوتيوب. بيقول لي what would happen if case of the companion cell were devoid of the mitochondria. طبعا احنا عارفين ان الميتوكوندريا يبقى no energy. sieve tubes can't transport food لان sieve tubes have no nucleus. sieve tubes have no nucleus. يبقى transport of food depends on the active transport واكتف ترانسبورت depends on energy. خلي بالنا من البوينت دي كويس. ان احنا عندنا في حاجه عندنا اسمها اكتف ترانسبورت. والاكتف ترانسبورت depends on the change or transportation of the materials or the minerals from the low concentration to high concentration by using energy. And here we have immunity. We have energy to transport the materials from low concentration to high concentration. لان مش في all cases هتبقى plant has low concentration inside and high concentration outside. Sometimes the concentration outside less than inside. فهنا in this case we will push by using energy. طيب في سؤال هنا جميل جدا هنشوفه مع بعض. بيقول لي choose the correct answer from the following. All the following have a role in the immunity. كل دول عندهم دور في المناعة except leukocytes, blood plasma, blood platelets and erythrocytes. طبعا عارفين leukocytes اللي هي الوايت blood cells have a great role in the immunity. Blood plasma اللي هي liquid contains the soluble substances as nutrients. Blood platelets make blood clotting. Erythrocytes اللي هي red blood cells. طب بيقول لي كل دول بيعملوا immunity او ليهم دور role in the immunity except طبعا leukocytes engulf the microbes بتبلع الميكروبات. Blood plasma contains fibrinogen helps in blood clotting. طبعا fibrinogen secreted from liver بيعوم فين؟ in blood plasma. blood platelets بتعمل ايه؟ form the blood clot stop bleeding. يبقى الثلاثة A, B, C play an important role in the immunity لأن stop bleeding is a part from your immunity وجزء من مناعتنا ان النزيف يقف. يبقى الوحيد هنا اللي هيبقى has no role in the immunity الاكسجين او الارثروسايتس اللي هو carry الاكسجين and the carbon dioxide. يبقى erythrocytes هنا نرجع لها تاني اهو، اهي الارثروسايتس have no role in the immunity or direct role، ما لهاش دور مباشر in the immunity. الكويستشن اللي بعديه which of the following exists in plasma on absence of the blood clotting؟ اللي في دول هيبقى موجود في البلازما، خلي بالنا لو absence of blood clotting factors، لو ما حصلش البلاد كلوتنج فاكتورز احنا قلنا السبيد نورمال لازم تبقى نورمال، لو ليس اور مور بتبقى فريكشن، يبقى في بلاد كلوتنج. بيقول لي ثرومبوبلاستين ولا بروثرومبين ولا ثرومبين اور فيبرينوجين؟ طبعا exists on absence of the blood clotting. اقول له مين امين؟ اقول له تعالى ثرومبوبلاستين بروثرومبين اند ثرومبين، الثلاثه دول مالهم؟ are formed due to blood clotting factors. Thromboplastin by destroyed cells. Prothrombin change into thrombin by thromboplastin. طبعا exist of vitamin K and calcium ions. يبقى only one exists in plasma, the fibrinogen secreted from liver، بيفرز من الكبد. help in clotting but exists as the blood clotting factor doesn't exist. Okay. Next one. Liver play an important role in blood coagulation due to its secretion. طبعا احنا يعني الكلام ده قتلناه بحثا. طبعا احنا عارفين thromboplastin and prothrombin. Prothrombin and thrombin. Heparin and prothrombin. Fibrinogen and fibrin. بيقول لي liver play an important role in coagulation، بيلعب دور مهم جدا في تجلط الدم. هقول له ليه؟ طبعا الانسر بتاعتي depends on heparin and prothrombin. heparin anti coagulation، مادة مضادة للتجلط، and prothrombin are helps in complete the mechanism of the blood coagulation. طبعا the both are secreted from the liver. Mechanism blood pressure occurs blood pressure occurs in right arm arteries, renal arteries, left leg arteries ولا left arm vein. طبعا احنا مبدئيا بيقول لي maximum blood pressure، اعلى ضغط الدم هيبقى فين؟ طبعا لازم يبقى في artery not vein، يعني مبدئيا كده، فما ينفعش اختار ولا نمبر دي بره الموضوع لانها فين. فبيقول لي رايت ارم ارتري ولا رينال ارتري، رينال معناها كدني كلى، ولا ليفت ليج ارتري؟ هقول له طبعا هروح لمين؟ لذا نيرست بليس تو ذا هارت، اقرب مكان للقلب مين؟ الدراع، يبقى الرايت ارم ارتري. على فكره الرينال ارتري هاي بلاد بريشر والليفت ليج ارتري هاي بلاد بريشر، بس هو عايز ماكسيمم هيبقى فين؟ هيقول له يبقى في الارمز، فهو قال لي رايت ارم ارتريز، هقول له يبقى هاي بلاد بريشر اكزيست ان ات، لانه طبعا ورينال هاي بلاد بريشر، والليفت ليج ارتريز هاي بلاد بريشر، والليفت طبعا ارم فين لو بلاد بريشر. بس انا هختار بقى مين؟ ايوه نير تو ذا هارت اللي هو رايت ارم ارتري اور ارتريز. Which of the following causing increased blood pressure between X and Y in this figure؟ زي ما احنا شايفين عندي X و Y. طبعا the blood pressure increase from X to Y. Presence أو pressure in aorta red color and left ventricle pressure dots black. So left atrium contraction, left atrium relaxation, left ventricle relaxation or left ventricle contraction. طبعا we know maximum blood pressure او البلاد بريشر ضغط الدم بيعتمد على الكونتراكشن اوف ventricles مش الاتريا. فانا هروح طب يا ترى الانسر هتبقى نمبر بي اللي هي اخر اتنين، معلش عشان في رقم او الليتر متلخبط، left ventricle relaxation ولا left ventricle contraction؟ هقول له طبعا left ventricle. ليه؟ لأن الليفت فنتريكال كونتراكشن اللي هي آخر واحدة push the blood to aorta. Push the blood to aorta. Then the blood will transfer to the human body. طيب human body contains أو differ types of membrane in function. سؤال جميل جدا. membranes. explain. طبعا الهارت أو القلب contains طبعا muscular organ has cover. القلب ليه غطا. This cover is called pericardium. This pericardium cover the heart. Transparent cover. Okay? This cover facilitates the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Control it. القلب زي ما يكون محطوط في cover أو بوكس كده علبة. ده يعتبر ممبرين، يعتبر غطا. ده نمبر 1. وفي عندنا another membrane موجود برضو. طبعا عندنا many membranes. فلو شفنا كده مع بعض explain. اقول له طبعا نمبر 1 pericardium membrane. البيريكارديوم ممبرين ماله؟ protect the heart and facilitate its contraction. بيحمي القلب لان هو غطى حواليه. طبعا after the ribs cage، بعد القفص الصدري، مش هو اول حاجه يعني. protect the heart and facilitate its contraction. number 2 عندي طبعا contraction and relaxation. number 2 we have mesentery membrane. الميسنتري membrane exists in the digestive system. mesentery membrane. mesentery membrane cover the أو connect the small intestine as one unit. بيخلي السمول انتستين كلها تبقى كأنها one part. السمول انتستين تمام. في mesentery as membrane as واحنا خدناها في first secondary connective tissue. تمام. this connective tissue بيعمل طبعا connect between the different organs. mesentery. يبقى انا عندي في المنهج في واحد في digestive system mesentery and another in the circulatory system. طبعا I am waiting for your questions, all questions on the our channel on YouTube. And if you have any point want to need more or re-explain it, just ask on our channel in the comments of YouTube channel. Until we meet again, thank you. See you. Goodbye.